Hey guys, September 15th, 2010. I'd just like to make a quick video. I'm going to do an article in this video, and I'm also going to show you what my wife did today. She stayed home from work, and one of my daughters stayed home from school, and her cousin. And they actually did some canning, and I'd like to show you the fruit of their labor. We buy our peaches and pears and apples from Max Nolan's orchards, from Colorado. And this is what they did today, probably 40 jars of peaches. And we have about half this, a little over half this much in pears to go. And this is probably a little more than half our peaches that we have to can. So she does a really nice job. They're very pretty when they're done. And they're very tasty too. We can them without sugar. We use 100% white grape peach juice. They are delicious. Anyway guys, we'll have peaches for probably at least the next year. And this, in showing you this ties into the article that I want to read. And it's off of Jim Core. I got it off Jim Core's website, but it's off, the main site is the Intel Hub, and I'll link it, and there's a video with it. But the title of it is Georgia Man Fined $5,000 for Growing Vegetables. And you know, I've talked about this before. I did a video, arrested for growing a tomato or something, and I was a little facetious or sarcastic in that video. But with the legislation bill S510, guys, you know, and what we know is happening through Monsanto and their corporate takeover of all agriculture. And if you read carefully the legislation, it's going to ban the buying and selling and the trading and the ability to store your own food in the Senate Bill 510. And this, I think, is just basically ties into that. And if you do your research, guys, if you look into this a little further and you type in United Nations Agenda 21 or Codex Alimentarius, you'll find that this is part of the bigger picture, is to take your rights to life, liberty, and happiness, the pursuit of happiness, away from you, because you're property to them. And you know, I don't think it's going to fly. Here's an article, and it's a really quick one. I'm going to go out here and sit down and read this, because if I read it standing up, I might fall down. A Georgia resident who has been an organic farmer for years is now facing a $5,000 in fines for growing too many vegetables on his own property. Okay, imagine that. Now, if you heard of this 20, 30, 40 years ago, you'd say, what in the world? Hopefully you're saying that now. But definitely people would have been hitting the streets with this kind of stuff. And guys, this is just one little incident. We don't know what else is going on around the world. Steve Miller, who has sold some of his produce at local farmer markets as well as growing food for himself, is likely a victim of an online aerial invasion of private property. This invasion of property is probably due to the fact that unless visited or inspected by an official, there would be no way that for there to be an accurate or factual accounting of what was going on Mr. Miller's property. Okay, so, and it says down here in another paragraph that local and state officials and bureaucrats are investing in technology that can be used from space, basically. And they're using Google Maps and Bing Maps to gather this information and actually give citations. And I'll post this article, guys, but it's really Orwellian of what's going on. And you know, the medical legislation, healthcare. I mean, they plugged so much garbage into that bill, guys, that it's stripping more of our freedoms from us. and also cap and trade. I mean, even out of Obama's mouth, he says that it's going to make utilities too expensive to even afford if they pass cap and trade. And I was talking to a gentleman that works with the mines. He does explosives, and he deals a lot with natural gas, and he says that 35 to 40% of the nation's electricity that's produced by coal, that coal comes from this area. And so talk about shutting down a boom town. I mean, it would do it in a heartbeat. So there's some teeth to what he's saying. He wants to shut down coal and gas and oil and all that stuff. Who knows? I don't think he's big enough to do it. Yeah, in the recent past, victory gardens were encouraged. They were the pride of one's backyard and of a nation that was self-sufficient. Okay, it was promoted. The television series The Victory Garden on PBS documents gardening and provides gardening tips and features vegetable gardens as a great personal achievement. Times have changed. Whew. Historically, victory gardens in World War II were encouraged to keep the supply of food at a maximum, and personal growing increased the industrial supply to the military. Are people going to let this fascist takeover to continue? Even growing a garden in the privacy of your own personal property to be taken away? If the answer is no, then what are you prepared to do about it? How about growing a garden? If you have the space, grow a garden. And there's also a video to this, and I'll link it. But it's kind of depressing, guys, that we've gone to this, where a person can't even grow, and he gives away the food. He gives it away. He sells it at farmer markets, and he gives it to the people that work for his landscaping business. I think the government thinks that they're the only ones that can do things right, and that we're a threat. We might put out some produce that is, diseased or something, and that makes people sick. As if that doesn't happen already. And you know what? Homegrown produce is much more healthy than this huge corporate agriculture stuff that's being, I don't know how to put it, synthetically grown through the corporation of Monsanto and their genetically modified organisms. Okay? I would way rather have somebody's green peppers and carrots and whatever else out of their backyard growing in some good stable manure than having stuff pumped out by Monsanto any day of the week. The question remained unanswered. How did the code enforcement agency know Mr. Miller had a garden in the first place? And it remains to be unanswered. Anyway, guys, I'll stop my ranting. But this subject is, hits a sore spot with me, because they're talking about our inalienable rights, our God-given rights. Okay, God gave us these rights to grow food and to pursue life, liberty, and happiness. Man did not give us these rights. God did. Nobody can dictate whether or not you can grow a garden. Something to chew on, guys. Anyway, look up those topics that I was talking about earlier. God bless, and I hope you have a good evening.